But the idea of having a female friend, someone I hang out with often, who is my friend and we're purely platonic, is garbage.
Andrew Tate. We all know him to be the love-to-hate public figure in modern-day history. Just a little under a year ago, Andrew Tate went from being a semi-moderately popular online figure to one of the most well-known people on the internet, being featured on every single major social media platform. But his popularity hasn't been because people exactly love him, as it's mainly been due to people despising him as a person, as for some time he's been labeled as a misogynistic person, someone who's a sexist to women, an ignorant and overall scumbag individual, and probably the biggest and most damning of them all, a human trafficker, as this has always haunted Andrew Tate for a while, as he and his own brother have spent time behind bars due to this. But the thing we have to ask ourselves is, how did Andrew Tate even get in this position? More so, how did Andrew Tate go from a broke 23-year-old who could barely afford to eat to one of the most talked about people on earth? This video will cover all of the shenanigans that's made him to the man that people know him for today. This is the story of perhaps one of the most controversial people on the planet, Andrew Tate. Now, before Andrew Tate whipped off the high status and the ability to do whatever he wanted whenever he wanted, Andrew Tate didn't always have this kind of money to have 10 different supercars, as this was quite the opposite for him. Growing up, Andrew Tate's dad, being Emery Tate, who served in the military, became a well-known chess player around the world, has always been Andrew Tate's biggest role model, as Tate always says all the time.
And my dad was my hero. My relationship with my dad is much closer than most people have had with their dad. Like, it's not like we had a distant relationship. He was my hero in every regard.
And pretty much throughout his childhood, Tate has always been into fighting, martial arts, and boxing, as his mom had enrolled him and his brother in defense courses when they were just kids. However, Tate's home life for the most part wasn't all that spectacular. For starters, around this time, him and his family had been living in Luton, England, after Tate's mom had moved back to England to provide for her kids by working multi-minimum wage jobs. But fast forward to when Andrew Tate was in his 20s, he was able to find himself a spot on a TV show called British Reality TV, where he was able to go with teenagers and travel around Asia with them.
I've never been in a situation in my life so far in my 21 years where I really wanted something and didn't get it.
But Andrew Tate wouldn't do this for very long, because not long after this, Andrew Tate would begin to start up his kickboxing career in 2009, along with his brothers supporting him. And it was fair to say that during his kickboxing career, Andrew Tate definitely showed a lot of toughness, as in one of his fights, Tate had broken his hand and kept on fighting and ended up winning his match. However, even though that Tate had been dedicating most of his life to kickboxing and was really good at the sport, as Andrew Tate says all the time, he and his brother were pretty much broke during this time, as because in professional combat sports, you would have to be Mike Tyson level to make a living off the sport.
Why did we eat KFC? Because when I was 21, me and Andrew used to have no food. I used to drive my broken Volkswagen Golf to the KFC restaurant in Dunstable, United Kingdom, and I used to sit in my car. And you couldn't ever eat anyone's leftover food if they ever had their mouth on it. But at KFC, they used to buy buckets. And I would sit and wait for people to sit outside, eat their meal, and leave the bucket on the table. And I used to go and take that bucket, 3 or 4 pieces of chicken. And I used to collect 20, 30, 40 pieces of chicken that were perfectly fine left in the buckets. And I used to go home and I used to freeze that chicken. And me and Andrew would break it up, put it in our rice. And that was our meal. That's what sustained us for that hard year, that year we had when I was 21 and you were 22. That's how broke we were. I used to scavenge chicken from KFC because I thought, fuck it, I'm not dying and I'm not losing my kickboxing fights because I don't have enough protein. What am I going to do to make it through the day? That's how broke I was. And that's a sad story if you never make it out.
So as Andrew Tate and his brother barely had enough money to make a living off the sport while they're doing kickboxing, Andrew realized that he needed to start cracking down to make some real money. And what he did was he ended up rounding up 5 girls that he knew, he flew them out to London, and him and his brother would eventually start up their own webcam business with a bunch of different girls that they knew. And from here, he was able to make way more money than he was making from kickboxing. It's also worth mentioning that in 2016, Andrew Tate would eventually retire from kickboxing, as he felt like it was the right time to do so, as around this time he had much bigger things he was doing in his life, as in 2016 he had found himself on another reality TV show called Big Brothers, where in one of the episodes, Andrew Tate, being the man he is, would end up causing chaos by calling everyone there snakes, where all of the guys on the show would end up trying to threaten Andrew Tate. And obviously many people found what Andrew Tate did was hilarious, and I would play the clip, but Big Brothers is gonna probably copyright it, so I'm not gonna play it. However, just 11 days later of being on this TV show, things would quickly take a 180. 11 days later into the Big Brother's house, Andrew Tate would be hit with a video of him hitting his then ex-girlfriend with a belt. In the video, Andrew Tate says how he's gonna kill her if he messes any other guys, and says to tell her that you love me, and then proceeds to hit her. When this video was leaked, Andrew Tate would say that him and his girlfriend were just messing around, and also says how the producers of Big Brothers were trying to use this to get him out of the Big Brother's house. A longer version of the video shows us laughing and I'm hitting myself and saying it doesn't hurt. I'm still friends with her and she's in the UK with me now. I would never hit a woman. I think Big Brother is using this to get me out of the house as they're scared of me for the uncontested safety. But after Tate would try to defend himself for this one, the situation would get even more bigger when another video circulates of Andrew Tate filming another girl with bruises on her arm and body, and in the video she says that she got hit by Andrew Tate and would try to grab his belt and run away, and then she would close and lock the door, preventing Andrew Tate from opening it.
What are you mad about, woman? Bruises, why? Why? Beaten with what? With what? A belt because you're a jerk. Show me the bruises. 1, 2, 3. Oh, baby. Oh, poor thing. I have an idea. Do you want to know what my idea is? That's right, lock the door, you knew I was gonna beat the out of you.
Later on, as these videos began going around, Tate would end up threatening to take legal actions against these private videos going around. Showing me and the girl in the video press charges against Redacted who distributed the vid, fans were quick to advise Andrew to prosecute the person behind the leaked footage. One tweeted, and I'm sure there's a new law saying revenge porn videos are now legal. Get legal advice. But this case would really go nowhere. Later on, Andrew Tate would end up being kicked out of the Big Brother's house, as he always says that the reason he was kicked out was because the producers were afraid there was going to be a fight happening, and Tate says that he was threatened by the men there all the time.
The real reason I got kicked out of Big Brother is because I was too good at triggering everyone. So what happened was I was only in there for about 9 days, 4 people walked out, and every single man in there at some point had threatened me with violence. So they took me into the diary room and they said, we're really concerned about the dynamic of the house. This is all off camera.
Yeah.
I was like, well, the rules of Big Brother, we all signed a contract saying no one's allowed to make threats. I'm not threatening anybody. All these people are threatening me. You need to shut down their threats. I'm like, yeah, but people, you're very controlled and they're more emotional, and we just want to guarantee that in the event of an altercation, you won't hit anybody. So basically they said, we've got a whole bunch of idiots in here who can't control themselves, children. And if they swing for you, we want you to play Floyd Mayweather and do nothing about it for 4.5 minutes while security turns up. I said, no, I'm not going to start an argument. If they're going to swing at me, you're going to get knocked the fuck out. I don't know if there's 2 of them going to attack me. I ain't getting punched on TV. I don't know what's going on. I don't know this guy. Maybe he knows something. Who the fuck? You swing at me, I'm taking you out. So that's my position. I'm not going to start it, as soon as they start running their mouth, you better send security in advance because I'm taking them out the game.
So after all the drama he got into with abusing women there, and after Tate completely retired from kickboxing, it would be very notable that later on, Andrew Tate would begin switching into the growing masculinity category. One of Andrew Tate's first biggest things he would say on the internet would be about the topic of depression in 2017. There are very few fat lonely men with no money or family or hobbies who aren't depressed. This is not a clinical disease. In a circumstance which they must change, most depressed people are just unhappy with their lives, too lazy to change it, that's simple. So people defend depression. They get angry when I say this, because it is bullshit to justify their own failures. And by no surprise, there were a lot of people who disagree with Tate and were very upset when he said this. You're an ignorant cunt. Anyone out there thinking you shouldn't receive help for what is a very real illness, please seek help. Another responded, this is probably the most worst, ill-advised, poorly educated, and ignorant threads I've ever seen. However, Andrew Tate would get under people's skins even more when you're going to write about how depression isn't a real thing. Everyone's depressed nowadays, treating me, I'm depressed, and I think, wow, it must like losing life that hard. Boo-hoo. You feel sad? Move on. If you're out to 26k fans and followers, you will always be depressed if your life is depressing. The way depression is so violently defended is strange. So desperate to be unhappy and have excuse to not change it. Very odd. Big Pharma sports your depression lie. You can't fix it yourself, Tate is crazy. It can only be cured with meds. Keep popping pills. Later on in 2018, Andrew Tate was going to use his popularity on YouTube by creating a channel called Tate Speech, where it was a channel to help young and personal men who wanted to be inspired to make money. So this meant Andrew Tate was going to create one of the biggest businesses out there, Andrew Tate's controversial Hustle University. Coming from Tate, Hustle University is an online course where young people come to work and invest their time in and to make money. And all over the website's front page, it shows people showing how much money they've actually made from Hustle University alone. And if any of you have actually wondered why there would be hundreds of TikTok accounts reposting a lot of Andrew Tate's clips and speeches, that's because those people are part of Andrew Tate's affiliate scheme, as Tate has a large number of people who work for him to download his podcast clips and upload them to the internet. And this is pretty much why a majority of YouTube shorts are filled with Andrew Tate. But now back to the Hustle University. The way to get into it is it costs about $50 a month, and Tate has over 100,000 people signed up to it, which earns him roughly $5 million. And in most of his podcast clips, he often promotes Hustle University to get more people signed up to it. However, undoubtedly, many people will call Hustle University a huge scam, as the main fishy thing with the website, as no one actually says how they made the money. And Andrew Tate says if you don't know where the money comes from, well then buy it.
But I've only been in it for like 3 weeks, but I've been making some bread.
Have you made more than you invested?
Yeah, duh.
So is it a good investment?
Duh, I made money. I made loads off of just a little investment.
How are you making the money?
Don't worry about how you're making our money.
If you want to.
Are you making the money? Are you making the money through affiliate codes, or are you actually making money?
I'm actually making money.
Like what? How? Not through affiliate codes. You're like following the steps.
Yeah.
18.
Okay. What are you doing?
You got to sign up to see.
That's right.
Bro,
That's
this is such a scam, brother.
Which I wouldn't doubt it's a scam, as it just seems like Andrew Tate's trying to get young men to buy his program. He would also be highly criticized for how he started making his money in the first place. Like I already said, Andrew Tate didn't make big money from kickboxing, so he started up his webcam business with his brother, and he had ran that for some time. Tate would even go as far as making a whole course about the webcam industry in Hustle University, and the person would have to pay $2,000 to get into the course. Nothing is suspicious. Many people called Andrew Tate out for his webcam business, as people felt like he was exploiting women on there, and essentially just scamming people. Andrew Tate's made millions requiring his webcam models to scam men by telling lies about their lives, like medical emergencies, dying parents, evictions, etc. And a British news article would even make an article about the two brothers for using women to tell sob stories to young desperate men over the internet. In other words, simps. Men who sit on their computer all day talking to girls in lingerie clothing across the world that don't even know them. When people say Tate is exploiting women, he always says that the females he works with always agree to do this and goes on to show themselves to different guys. However, not only would Tate be called out for exploiting women, he would ultimately get his house raided by the UK police. In April of 2022, Andrew Tate and another one of his cam girls got into a huge argument, and she would also be going to the police and report that she got beaten by Andrew Tate. And later on April 11th, 2022, while Andrew Tate and his brother were in Romania, the Romanian police raided their shared mansion, and it would be revealed that they were arrested because they were both on suspicion of human trafficking. As this news had broke, many people would heavily clown on the two brothers, and people would also find out that the two brothers were actually also under investigation for supposedly abducting two women from the USA, and even accused of rape. Andrew Tate's response to this was a sarcastic Instagram picture saying how bitches lie. And in the end, there were some people who were outraged that the Tate brothers were let off so easily and were able to go back to their normal lives. And Tate would just continue to do podcasts with different people on YouTube. But that would all change 6 months later, and it wasn't so easy this time. On December 29th, 2022, Andrew Tate and his brother had their shared mansion raided for a second time by the Romanian police, where they were both under suspicion of human trafficking again. And it's safe to say when this news had broke, it was covered on every single corner of the internet. And for the next 3 months, the two spent that time behind bars while they were under investigation. But the strange part was that when they were being investigated, the Romanian police didn't find any sort of evidence that would be able to charge you for human trafficking. And there were many discussions whether the fact that Andrew Tate and Tristan were both guilty, as there were people who believed they were simply because people disliked them. But for a second time, there wasn't any sort of evidence to charge you for human trafficking. So for a second time, on March 31st, 2023, Andrew Tate and his brother were officially released from jail, where pretty much the entire internet went crazy over. Most people were happy that Tate was free, as some felt like he was wrongfully arrested simply because he was a controversial person, and therefore be an easy target. But on the other hand, people feel like Tate being free would do more harm than good, as still to this day, people still call him a human trafficker, as this is still an ongoing case. And another reason why people feel like Tate is still guilty is because the Romanian justice system is not that good. And in fact, Andrew Tate has said this himself. I am from Romania and I confirm that the justice system is shitty and shady. However, the biggest mistake that Tate did was to brag about this. He came to Romania and started trashing the system and saying how easy it was to pursue his business and so on. Now with the Ukraine war and NATO being involved more, here brings more news about Romania. I am sure that there's a lot of pressure coming from somewhere else to lock him in, and I'm quite sure this will happen. I mean, he's a smart guy, but you can't fuck with the big guys on your own. And also, he taunted too much of the Romanian authorities. The Romanian police are now on a mission to see him end up in jail, and in the end, all the evidence is out there. And at the current moment, Andrew Tate has successfully been able to move past all of the controversy for now, and was able to somewhat get back to his normal life on the internet.
I do believe that justice will be served in the end. I do believe that justice will prevail. I think everybody on the internet understands what's happening. Everybody understands the truth.
Yeah.
But jail is designed to be a punishment. I think we can all agree on that. So of course it's not going to be particularly pleasant. It's a punishment. Punishments are not designed to be pleasant.
So if there's anything we can say about Andrew Tate to wrap up this video about what makes him into the man that he is today, well, it's controversy. It's mainly pushing the boundaries of what is accepted today. He has shown countless times over the years that he will say things that people often don't want to hear, and will say things to easily get under people's skins to piss them off. He's grown a fan base of people who love him for who he is, and loves the things that he does. And obviously, he has an entire army of people who hate his guts. But whether you love him or hate him, it's fair to say that Andrew Tate has had a very impressive career on the internet. He's managed multiple times to not get caught up on how the world views him as a person, and just continues to live the high life and say whatever he wants to piss people off. But that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, then consider subscribing, drop a like if you want to. I did get banned on Twitter, so follow me at ScorpionYT, and join the Discord, link down in the description below. But thanks for support, thanks for watching, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.